Here are a few things we are doing this week in our art class. We're going to try out 3 different washes, a flat, a graded and a variegated wash. All of these I'm doing on a wet base, and in fact maybe this one's a little bit too wet. I should have left it slightly longer till there was just a shine on the paper. It turns out fine in the end though. Tipping it actually can help while it's very wet, but don't do it as it's drying. On the variegated one, I started as before. I've added water, and every time I've gone back in, I've dabbed the brush on a tissue, because you really don't want to put a wet brush onto something that's beginning to dry. And the final one is a variegated wash, and so I'm starting just as before on a wet base with some colour, washing my brush and then bringing it down a bit further, wetting it all the way down as before, right down to the bottom of that section, and then I'm going in with a completely different colour and working my way back upwards. Even if I leave a bit of a gap, they'll gradually move towards each other, but I'm just encouraging it here by adding a clean damp brush and bringing them up together. And sometimes tipping can help that move. Here I've drawn out the outline of a manta ray, and we're going to carefully just fill that with water, just brushing it all the way round before dropping in little bits of colour. And really it doesn't matter what colours you use. You're thinking of the light shining through the water onto the manta ray, and so you can really just play with this because we want to see how the colours move. As we're adding the colours in, you can start to work onto just the edge of the clean paper around it, the dry paper, just to firm up the edges. Do try and leave some white areas though, because it's very easy to obliterate the whole thing. There we go, so I'm just coming down there into the tail a bit. I thought maybe I'd add a bit of shaping here, just a subtle sort of V shape. And then as I come down into the tail, might have helped if I put some paint on my brush here. But anyway, I drop paint in as I have everywhere else, and there is the finished ray. It will dry lighter. On those first exercises, I'm going to carefully peel off the masking tape that I put between the sections. Make sure your paper's absolutely dry before you do this. And now, as an extra activity, on a layer of yellow wet paint, start to drop in some purple clouds. We looked at colours with their complements last week, and yellow and purple are opposite on the colour wheel. And so here I'm just dropping in some purple clouds. I'm not being particularly careful about it, just putting in the purple slightly darker at the top. And as they come down towards the horizon, the clouds get smaller. How about going for an orange sky with blue clouds, another complementary pair? Often you see this in winter, either blue sky with orange clouds or orange sky with blue clouds. And again, I've just got slightly smaller as I've gone down. Tipping the paper about will actually make the blue continue to move over the orange, and so you can get slightly different effects with your clouds. These little scenes can be a good background for silhouettes that you just paint in front when it's dry. Here are the washes when they've dried. This is a challenging exercise for the more experienced artists among you. The paper is made very wet and worked on for longer, but it could also be drawn onto one of your dry skies. You already have a sheet with different skies from last week, and this week I'll bring a sheet with some ideas of things to put in front of your skies. See you Friday.